Yeah. So I actually think this is we are in the most dangerous period in decades with respect to the Taiwan Strait, and that is because Xi Jinping right now does not believe that the West will hold itself together, that the United States will remain strong. He thinks that the West is in decline. In fact, he published another speech. The speech was delivered in 2023, but it was kept secret for a year and a half. On New Year's Day, President Xi released in Chinese language only. He doesn't want us reading his internal speeches, but he does want the speeches to get out to inform the party broadly. Remember, he's got almost
lucky you speak fluent Mandarin. So.
Yeah, well, it's gotten rusty, but yeah, I do still spend a lot of time reading primary source documents and in Chinese. And sure enough, what does he say? He says the situation right now in the world can be described as the West is in chaos and China remains stable, and also the West is in decline and the East is rising. So this is Xi Jinping's big, he's counting on that becoming true, even though it's not strictly speaking true right now. We've got our problems right now. We're litigating them out in the open, sometimes in the Oval Office with foreign visitors. Nonetheless, China's economy is in retreat. Their biggest export now is entrepreneurs. People are leaving China. Anyone who can afford to get out is even leaving a lot of money behind in order to get out, to make sure that their children are not raised in a totalitarian society that has no rule of law. But it is still a very, very dangerous moment because Xi Jinping is part of the reason that China's economy is failing is precisely because he's turning it into a wartime economy. He's preparing his economy for war so that it can withstand the shocks of war. That means he's willing to undergo massive inefficiencies in the economy. He's willing to stockpile food that otherwise would flow easily and more cheaply in from foreign vessels. He's stockpiling copper and all kinds of inputs into the economy. He is making sure that the private sector is wholly aligned with his broad goals, which are about increasing the Chinese Communist Party's control over the economy and creating a bigger, badder defense industrial base. He's preparing for war. So I actually think, I don't know where I'd put it on a 1 through 10. I would tell you that right now there is already a pressure campaign underway where Beijing has been cutting the undersea internet cables leading to Taiwan. That's happening as we speak. Over the last 9 weeks, 5 undersea cables have been cut by Chinese military-controlled vessels. They're all disguised as, these are civilian vessels with civilian crews that the Chinese government has instructed and trained to conduct this campaign. And the Taiwan's Coast Guard just detained, for the first time ever, one of the crews as it was in the act of dropping its anchor, dragging it along the bottom, and cutting an internet undersea cable. There aren't that many of these undersea cables, by the way. This is one of those things where it hasn't yet disrupted internet access, but once you cut a certain percentage of these things, things start to go dark. This looks to me like the beginning of a quarantine, that they're already beginning to start with an information quarantine. If you read Chinese People's Liberation Army doctrine after Vladimir Putin's catastrophic invasion of Ukraine, full-scale invasion 3 years ago, they have said one of the key lessons to learn from the mistakes of Vladimir Putin was he didn't cut off Ukraine's access to information and ability to broadcast information to the outside world. So we are now in maybe the first phase of a quarantine.